Hello, this is Mr. Chimbe from weeklybego.com, and today I am back again with another episode of the Weekly Bego podcast. I remember on the last episode we talked about a perfect credit score for getting an apartment. If you have not listened to that episode, I recommend that you listen to it because there's a lot there that you could pick up on to help you prepare before you submit your application for an apartment. So today, what I want to talk to you about is how to avoid apartment scams. Oh yes, you may not believe it, but nowadays there are a lot of apartment scams out there. This is especially if you are trying to apply for an apartment using websites that showcase apartment complexes. And this is a very big problem in the United States right now, in the sense that the apartments that are usually shown on these websites are not actually what you see after you have submitted your application and paid the required fee, and you finally get to see the place. It's usually an eyesore. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is because it has happened to me, and I feel like I needed to talk to you about this so that when you finally in the process of getting your own apartment, you will not fall into victimhood. You will not be a victim of these scams. So apartment scams. What do we consider an apartment scam? Well, whenever an apartment is being rented out and you see the apartment and the pictures that you're seeing seems so good to be true, then there's a high chance that there's something wrong. It's often a gut feeling, or just you looking at the apartment pictures and you're like, okay, well, this is too good for this rent price. Or you're looking at it and you're trying to contact the people that set up the advertisement, and everything seems very shady. I say trust your gut feelings. It might be an apartment scam. So how do you identify rental scams? Now, websites like apartments.com, Zillow, and some other ones there, they try their best to make sure that criminals or scammers do not have access to their platform. But still, apartment scams are not only being run by criminal elements. Some apartment complexes can also put up scams of their own, in the sense that they may hype the apartment that they are trying to rent to be what it's not. You often see this when a very old apartment that was probably built back in the 60s, you go on the website and it has the most beautiful picture you've ever seen of the apartment, and everything looks so clean and neat, and the apartment complex itself looks very presentable, and you finally go over there and you have dog poops everywhere, and the place looks very unkept, and the lawns are overgrown, and you walk into the apartment that you're supposed to be renting out and you saw a dead roach on the floor. This is my personal experience. This one happened to me. So I will tell you the story. I went online on the website, right? It's one of those websites that, showcases apartment complexes. So I went there, I found an apartment. I'm not going to say the name for, for privacy purposes. And the pictures were very beautiful. At first, when I saw those, I was like, okay, well, this is a very nice apartment complex. But the more I started looking into the pictures of the apartment itself, I'm like, okay, this seems too good to be true, especially for the rent price that is going for in my city. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go down there and check it out myself. So I went down there and I'm looking at the apartment. I'm like, okay, this is not the apartment complex that I saw on the website. I mean, it's the same design, but the reality that I was facing then when I saw the place, the place looks way older than the apartment pictures that they posted online, which was cleaner and seems like a new structure. And then I went to the apartment complex and I had to wait for like 30 minutes before they get back to me because they were busy dealing with something else. And that in itself was a red flag to me. And then later on, when they were going to go show me the apartment itself, we went to the apartment. On the way to the apartment, I could see dog poops lying everywhere. You could smell it. It was awful. And this was supposed to be a very clean apartment according to the pictures that they posted on their website, right? Now, we have arrived at the door of the apartment. We opened the apartment. The guy opened the apartment. The what is it called? The leasing office agent opened the apartment, and we walked in. The first thing that caught my eye, and I kid you not, was a roach, a dead cockroach on the floor. And this apartment, according to the guy, is not inhabited. I mean, then it wasn't inhabited. It was just an apartment that was set up specifically for showcasing what the apartment floor plan looks like, right? And I walked in. I walked in there, and I saw this roach, and this guy followed my eye direction. And not to embarrass him, so I stopped looking at the roach and started looking elsewhere. And then I could see from the corner of my eyes, he kicked the roach under one of the couches. And that's when I know that, okay, what these people are trying to sell me is not really what they posted on the website. That if they did not have the common courtesy to clean the place before showcasing the apartment to a potential tenant, then that tells me that if I ever rented a place from them, I'm going to have a very difficult time with them, even with maintenance and any other thing out there. And obviously, from the roaches that I saw there, that could tell you that they have a pest problem, and I was afraid that if I ever moved in and I seem to have some kind of pest infestation, they may not have the time to come take care of it, or they will not be serious about taking care of it. And that in itself was a big no for me. So I could say this was an apartment scam in a way. Now, how do you identify rental scams besides the story I just told you? Going and watching out and seeing for yourself. Well, one of the biggest red flags out there is when the person advertising the rental property does not want you to come do a physical tour of the apartment. Because remember, if you are trying to rent an apartment, you want to first go in there and see what it looks like. Now, sometimes they may not have the exact floor plan that you want available, but they always show you something similar to that, so that way you have a grasp of what it is that you're trying to get, right? And if you see something very beautiful, a floor plan that you want online, and you call the apartment and you ask if you could set up an appointment to come in and they show you around and show you the facilities that they have, and they're telling you that, oh, you don't have to store the place before renting, or you don't have to come see the place, everything is already set up for you. And they have this story about how they're still in the process of setting some things up, but you can still pay money and apply. That's a very big no, my friend. That is the surest way of getting your first heartbreak when it comes to renting a very bad apartment. And I would advise you not to go for that. This is besides the online pictures that seem too good to be true. And some very bad apartments are very good at this because of their bad customer service and their bad relationship with their tenants, or the bad structures that they have, or the bad pest infestation that they have currently going on with the apartment. They always try to overcompensate by photoshopping every single picture that they upload on the website and try to put the apartment in good lighting. This might be an apartment that you see and it feels like it's an apartment from the Caribbean island. You have palm trees everywhere. You look at the swimming pool, it's so beautiful. You just want to sit in it all day long. And you're looking at the apartment, it's beautiful. You're looking at the apartment floor plan, it's amazing. And and you're looking at it, and something in your instinct tells you, hey, I need to go see this. I say, my friend, go see that. Especially if it's in the part of the city that you know, and you know that it's not all that or serious. You get what I mean? I suggest you go see that because chances are uh, the photos are from the first time the apartment was built, or it's a photoshopped pictures. It's photoshopped pictures. Yeah. Also, another way of identifying rental scams is when the apartment complex is charging for everything. And so by charging for everything, I mean like when you apply for your apartment, or when you apply for the apartment and they're trying to charge you to run a credit check on you. You all know from the last episode the kind of credit score that you need for an apartment. I talked about how apartments would always run a credit check on you just to make sure that you're financially responsible enough to handle the rent responsibility. And it's one of the determinants of whether they will lease the apartment to you or not. Now, this costs money if you're doing it alone by yourself. A credit check in the United States. There are some websites that will go and they will give you one free credit check per year. When apartment complexes run a credit check on you, usually they don't charge you for that. It's supposed to be free because they're doing that for themselves. Now, it depends on the rental property that you're going for. If it's an individual landlord and not a big rental business that is trying to lease their place to you, they may include your credit check in the application fee. But most apartments that you're going to go for will not charge you when they run a credit check on you. And it becomes very suspicious when an apartment complex is charging you for everything, including the credit check. They may charge you the credit check, and they may want you to put down your first month rent or a very outrageous amount of deposit. And this is even before you ever saw the apartment. It could be an apartment scam. This is especially if everything is online in one of those websites like Zillow or apartments.com, where they showcase different apartment complexes. I would not recommend doing so, like paying for the credit check or even your like putting down your first month rent or deposit until you've gone and see the place that you're trying to get. But there is a big chance that if you eventually pay all this money and it's time to move in, you are going to be heartbroken when you finally get to see the place and you see that it's not really what you wanted. And it's also and it is also the smart thing to do. The smart thing to do is if you're going to rent out a place, right? And you're going to be renting out for more than a year. which is usually the norm. I would recommend going to see how comfortable that place will be for you. I would recommend going to see if that place is safe. Could you park your car outside and not come out in the morning to go to work and your car is gone or your car is vandalized? I want you to go check the neighborhood that the apartment is in. Okay, is this a place where you could just, at the end of the day after work, you're coming back from work at 9 p.m., you're not, so nobody's going to jump on you once you get out of your car to walk into your apartment, right? And also, this is not a place where you're always going to be fighting with roaches and rats, in your personal space. This is not a place where every single damn day of the week something is broken and you have to put in a maintenance request that takes a long time to get fixed. Another thing is you can identify rental scam or apartment rental scam when the landlord or whoever is trying to lease the place just wants to get it rented. Like everything is in a hurriedly fashion. They are not willing to do background checks on you. They are not willing to do credit checks on you. They are just like, okay, come, give me the first rent. Move in right now. We are ready. Everything is set up for you. You don't have to pay for anything but your first rent. And they won't even collect a deposit for you. They just want to get it done with. And you're calling them on the phone and everything is online, mostly. Even if it's a face-to-face thing, but they still don't want you to see the place. Or perhaps you've seen the place and the place may or may not be what you like, but everything is just being hurried. Oh, this is the last day of it. If you don't take it today, you're never gonna take it again. That's how they usually sell it anyway. Run for your life, my friend. Run, because it could be an apartment scam. Apartments, legit apartment complexes or businesses would always want to run a background check on you. They want to make sure that your previous rental service or the place that rented to you before, you didn't have an issue there. Because remember, these are businesses. These are legit businesses. They are out there to make profit, right? And if they're out there to make profit, in as much as they want to rent their empty spaces, they don't want to rent it out to someone that has a difficult time making rent every month, right? Or someone that causes problem to his or her neighbors, right? So this is why apartment complexes would always run some kind of background check on you, whether it's a credit background check or a criminal background check. Either way, any apartment complexes or rental property service that wouldn't want to do that should arouse some kind of suspicion from you. This is because there's a high chance they could be running a scam. It's even worse when the person trying to rent you the apartment or rental property refuses to meet with you because according to them they're very busy, but they want you to watch an online video tour of the place, and they send you a link where you go and then you watch a tour of the apartment that you're supposed to rent. Let me tell you something. Usually the tour that you see online on the videos, the walkthrough tour, that's what it's called, the 3D walkthrough tour, it's not the same as what you're going to be getting. That's a fact. I'm telling you that right now. Unless it's a very luxurious apartment, chances are, if it's a video that you're watching, the video, I usually give it about 5 years old. That's what I usually have in mind when I'm looking at such videos, because chances are the things that you're supposed to see with your eyes when you go in there and do the tour yourself, it's not going to be shown on the video. And if the landlord or the leasing office agent they refuse to meet, then I'll consider you not renting with such people, because that's a big red flag. and you do not want a situation whereby you cannot easily contact your leasing office or your landlord. Because that tells me right there that if you ever have issues with your apartment, whether it's flooded, or you have the sink that is broken, or you have pest issues, and you're trying to reach out to them, they're not going to get back to you quickly since they don't have the common courtesy to meet in person before you even rented the apartment from them, right? So how do you avoid rental scams? How do you protect yourself from these people trying to take advantage of you? You're already a young working class adult. I don't know if this is your first time of renting an apartment. If it's your first time of renting your apartment, I suggest you check out the other episodes that I've made, so you'll be very prepared. But if you're already an OG in these things, I'm sure you already know what to do. Here is what else I want you to add to the things that you already know. Go and see the place for yourself. Forget the pictures, forget the online pictures, forget the online video tours, forget the online reviews. Reviews could be bought. Yes, nowadays reviews could be bought. I say go see the place for yourself. Whether it's a luxurious place or whether it's an affordable place, go and see it for yourself. The reason why this is very important is because when you go in there to see things for yourself, just like I saw when I went in there in the apartment story that I told you. Remember I told you I saw a roach on the floor, right? And when I took my eyes off the roach, the gentleman that took me to see the apartment kicked the cockroach under a sofa. He kicked it. So that means, obviously, that he had a pest problem and he didn't want me to see that. But fortunately for me, I've already seen that before he was able to kick that, right? That tells me he's not being truthful. He is a liar and very deceitful. When you go to see the place for yourself, these are the things you're going to be looking for, right? You are going to go make sure the fridge is working, the sink, check the corners of the carpet, lift the goddamn carpet up. And the reason why you're doing that is to check for bed bugs. You will be doing all these things, and the leasing office person cannot stop you. Because you want a place where you live and be comfortable, right? So you might as well check all those things while you're there. The things that they are not going to show you on their pictures or on their videos. You go in there, you check it out for yourself. If the apartment is the same as the pictures, then fine. I mean, if that's what you want to go for, you go for it. But if it's not the same, that tells you right there that there is an intention to deceive you. And I would not go for such an apartment, because if they could run a little scam like that on me, I don't know what else they're gonna do when I finally become a tenant, right? So I always recommend you go and see the place for yourself. And this is the most important one I'm going to tell you right now. Make sure you get everything in writing. Make sure you get everything in writing. Here is what I mean. When you go in to apply for an apartment and they sit you down and they tell you everything that you need to know about the apartment and they tell you what the base rent is, the base rent does not mean that's what you pay every month. I had to learn this one the hard way as a young working class adult when I was in my 20s. When I was told back then that the base rent was, I think, what did they say? It was, I think they said about $789 or so. And at the end of every month, I was paying $800 and something as rent. This was back when I was in my 20s, many years ago. And I come to realize that some apartment complexes will not tell you They will not tell you the totality of how much you're gonna be paying every month unless you specifically ask them that. And when I mean the totality of the rent you're gonna be paying, I'm not even adding the electric bills. I'm talking about hidden fees like trash collection fees, sewage fees. You have other things like water utilities, and some other stupid fees that they they try to collect. Some apartments even have the audacity to collect something called maintenance fee. It's very low. I don't know if your city or your state has something like that, but apartment complexes sometimes here we collect something like that, and it will be about $3 or so, but it's still money, and it makes you wonder: are they coming in every day to fix something that they have to charge you that? Even though it's a little amount of money, but it's still something. Now, I want you to get everything in writing. When you sit down there across from them and they're showing you all these beautiful pictures of your apartment, and you've gone and you've seen the apartment, and you're very satisfied with what you've seen, and now it's time for you to, put down your deposit and sign the lease and all that. I want you to ask the person there what the rent is going to be, the totality of the rent. They will tell you a base rent. They may say, oh, your base rent is $1,000. You said, okay, fine. But does this include every other thing? What are the hidden fees like maintenance, trash collection, and sewage? All these things, are they added to this? And they will tell you yes or no. If they're telling you no, I want you to have them put that in writing. So that not when you have rented the apartment from them, instead of paying $1,000, now you're paying $1,000 and $150, or $1,000 and $1,200. You know what I mean? You're paying $1,200 now. Or you're paying $1,100 and $50, which doesn't make sense. You get what I mean? Yeah. So I hope you do understand what I'm trying to tell you, and I hope that everything that you talk with them is put in writing, especially when it comes to money. When it comes to money, you make sure that if they tell you what the base rent is, they also adding up every other associated fees, because there will surely be other associated fees besides the base rent. And these associated fees are not your electric bills. They are what I just told you about. So be sure to always ask them that. And once they tell you the totality of it, have them print it out. That's what I usually do. They print it out for me. It's going to have the whole base, the rent, and associated fees. And there will be a totality of what I'm expected to pay every month. And it won't change. I mean, if it's going to change, it's only going to change by a few dollars because of the water bills. Because if your water bill is shared, then chances are it's not going to be the same every month. So there's going to be slight variation, give or take at most $10, depending on where you live. So get everything in writing. It helps to get everything in writing, because you could always hold them responsible if they try to run some kind of little scam on you, and you tell them, hey, listen, this is not what we talked about, and then you pull out your document that they printed out for you, and then you show it to them. You're like, hey, you said this is how much it's gonna be and what is changing. So this is how you avoid rental scams. If you're able to do these things, you protect yourself from getting a very bad apartment. And trust me, you do not want a very bad apartment as a young working class adult. Because the one thing you want is you want a place where you're going to be very comfortable, where you are going to be safe, where you're not going to be wrestling rats and cockroaches at night while you're trying to sleep. You want a place that is clean, a place where you could just, whenever you're at home, you're at peace. Because when we leave our apartments and we go out there and we hustle and we make the money, the world is harsh sometimes out there. At the end of a very hard day, you want to come back to a very peaceful and comfortable home. And that is what every single one of us is looking for. And that is what I want you to look for when you're trying to get an apartment, and ask the necessary questions that you need to ask to avoid being scammed. Now, if you're listening to this and it's already late and you have been scammed, and now you're left with a miserably looking apartment that makes you feel uncomfortable. You're not at home whenever you're in there because you're either wrestling rats or you're wrestling cockroaches, and the whole place is falling apart, and you're paying a substantial amount of rent every month for that, and you're not happy, and you feel like you've been scammed, and you have that in writing. Well, there are places you could always report this rental scam. You could report the fraud, because I consider it a fraud, especially if it's money involved, to the FTC. You could report that to reportfraud.ftc.gov. That's if it has money. If it has to do with money, I meant to say. Yeah. If you feel like you've been taken advantage of with respect to the apartment and it's financial, you could also report it to your local law enforcement. You could also report a rental scam to the FBI if it's something that actually affects your bank account and all that. Personally, I would say prevention is better than cure. Let me repeat that again. Prevention is better than cure. I would rather you prevent these incidents than these incidents happening to you and you're now trying to, manage it. It's not good when you have a whole other things that you're working on. Because as the young working class adults that we are, we have a lot on our minds. We're either juggling between classes and school, or even we're trying to figure out our art of living. And the last thing we want is additional problems that are preventable in our lives, right? Am I right? So prevention is better than cure. Be sure that you do your research before getting an apartment. Go in and see it for yourself so that you will not be a victim of an apartment scam. That is all I've got to say to you today. This is because I know how important it is to have a very comfortable home. Since you're going to be working for a very long time, you want a place where you're going to come home and you're going to feel at home. And I want to give you the chance to know how you could do this by sharing my own experience and telling you how best to go about this. And I believe I've been able to do that on this episode. So I wish you the best of luck on your apartment hunting, and use your use your gut feeling and be very smart about it when you get in an apartment, so that way you don't get a very bad apartment, because that there will affect your peace, and that's not what you want at all. All right, my friend, that concludes the end of this episode. I will be releasing another episode in 2 weeks' time, so be sure to check back. I remain your biggest cheerleader and your fellow working class adult. We're doing the best that we can, and we'll keep on doing the best that we can, and we will slowly and steadily improve our art of living. And I know you've got what it takes. All right, my friend. We'll be talking to you later. Goodbye.